Look Back is ultimately a story about grief and guilt, a flipped idea of the coming of age story where reconnection isn't possible. But through the narrative, you learn how to move on and create art. Art that can help move and heal you. Fujino and Kimoto are two artists who connect through their love of manga. Fujino is confident and outgoing, although she harbours some hidden anxieties about her skills, while Kimoto is excessively shy and introverted, to the point of anonymity, effectively becoming a recluse. However, through their love of art, Kimoto steps out of her comfort zone for Fujino, and they create art together through their formative years. Fujino and Kimoto have a disagreement and fall out with each other. A few years later, Kimoto is killed in a tragic incident. This changes Fujino, and helps her understand what it means to create, what it means to honor someone who inspired you. Rial states that a critical notion in any definition of genre must be that the genre film is one which exhibits a relationship with other examples of the genre. As I mentioned before, Look Back is a coming-of-age story. It also shares a lot of similar tropes to other coming-of-age stories. The film Only Yesterday is a film that has the same formulaic flow of the standard coming-of-age story. Mainly, the beginning lull, some kind of joy, then a larger slump, then acceptance. Another film like this is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Shy teen, the low, new friends, the joy, past trauma, the lower low, and finally self-acceptance. Rial backs this up when saying the complex provides an audience with a set of expectations, which they will carry into the film. But Look Back changes this formula. The rule-breaking in Look Back is enhanced by the phenomenological effect. It never really tells the viewer how to feel, it only tries to show powerful images and sounds to show the viewer potentially what to feel. Unlike other, more typical coming-of-age films, it guides the viewer on how to feel, laying out what the sadness should be felt through how the story is told. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when it comes to coming-of-age stories, it can be very formulaic. Rick Altman finalizes this by saying, generic meaning comes into being only through the repeated deployment of substantially the same syntactic strategies. The coming-of-age films exist because of Bildungsroman. It itself is a literature concept that started in Europe in 1819. Bildungsroman is the idea that a narrative is about psychological or moral growth, which is what a lot of coming-of-age stories are about. However, Bildungsroman used to be very formulaic in its execution of this narrative, and now it's evolved into something more, as stated by this report, saying, the tropology of Bildungsroman is everywhere in modern narrative culture, far exceeding the recognizable boundaries of the genre proper. You can see, for example in Look Back, Fujino began as confident and arrogant. She becomes more grounded through her friendship, and after Kimoto's death, Fujino is forced to confront her guilt, failure, and responsibility. This is Bildungs through trauma. This isn't the classic idea of reconciliation and growth that's normally associated with Bildungsroman. As stated in the same report, they say, the defining elements of Bildungsroman are these. A young man from the provinces seeks his fortune in the city, and undergoes the process of education, such that he eventually becomes reconciled with it. However, coming-of-age films are changing to be more complex and tackle a wide range of heavy topics that can be more relatable for today's youth. As I said, Look Back is a film that changes the expected tropes as it's from a female perspective. Bildungsroman was originally a very white male-centered narrative device. Catcher in the Rye, Charles Dickens' Great Expectations are texts which use this. As the same report states, genre criticism privileges the single path of middle-class male development, establishing a canon of overwhelmingly male-authored and male-centered texts. As I mentioned previously, the phenomenological aspect is a large part of how Look Back changes the coming-of-age formula. Kant remarks that, in knowledge, imagination serves the understanding, whereas in art, understanding serves the imagination. When Fujino learns of Kimoto's death is when I feel the film achieves its highest success with the phenomenological effect. The despair and grief Fujino feels isn't expressly said. She looks dishevelled and in shock. The score follows this with some haunting sounds of pencil scratching and muffled noises. The colour is then drained from the film, helping embody this sense of encroaching dread and anguish. The viewer, us, can feel Fujino's mind cracking under pressure. This change is unexpected, and we feel how crushing it is to Fujino, as well as how it's changed the viewer's idea of this bright and upbeat film. Another scene that shows good use of the phenomenological effect is the alternate timeline sequence. We see this after Fujino's breakdown, where we can ascertain she's dreaming this up as a coping mechanism, but all it really does is add to her grief. Shown to us in its dreamlike nature, Kimoto is in art college, something we already wouldn't expect. The colour is returned now softer and the score is somber and uplifting again. Afterwards, we understand that in this reality, Fujino stopped drawing, and she learned martial arts. That's how she believes she would have saved Kyoto. She believes she killed Kyoto by forcing her out of her comfort zone and drawing with her. That's where her guilt resides. As I have stated, Look Back is a coming-of-age genre movie that breaks the genre, becoming more psychological and less formulaic. But in the ending sequence in which Fujino begins to draw again, she's not better, but she's accepted that. She's grown through her grief. Through these lenses, Look Back can be understood as both a work within a genre that sometimes colours out with the lines and a phenomenological event. The viewer's emotional engagement is not incidental, it is the film's method of meaning making.